This tutorial is to show you how you can use turnitin.com to help graduate students write their research paper and to use it to get rid of plagiarism and also to improve their grammar and spelling. So up at the top in the URL window of my browser, I typed in www.turnitin.com and I'm going to log in. Now, if you don't have an account already, then you'll need to create an account, and you can call Carl Sewer over in the library. He will give you the let me go down to instructor. He will give you the account ID and join password, and you will go in and fill in the information to create an account, and then you will be notified through email from the turnitin.com website that you have an account. So to create an account, get the information from Carl Sewer, go to create an account, indicate that you want to become an instructor account, and fill in the information like you would for a Google Mail or Hotmail account. Now, once you have your account created, then you can log in, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my password and I'll sign in. And you can see that I currently do not have any classes listed here. Now, I encourage you to read the instructions on the screen. They usually walk you through the process. Down here at the bottom, it says that all of my classes have expired. To view and update your expired classes, select the Expired Class tab, which is there, or if I want to add a class, I can click the Add Class button. So I'm going to click the Add Class button, and I can see this listed up here. To create a class, you click the Add Class button. So let me click Add Class, and we have two options, the Standard Class and the Master Class. Well, the Standard Class is the one I'm going to use. Master Class might be for something like UI 100, where you have lots of sections that you're overseeing. This is going to be called Graduate Research Papers, and the enrollment password is grad. I will have the end date as of, let me do May and 16th, and I'll submit. So it's going to be about a year long. This is a class ID that I can have the students create or log in and create a account with me, or I can create the account for them. And this is a password that I set up as well. Now, this class ID is also listed over here on the left-hand side of my class as well. I'm going to click on Continue. Now, it walks you kind of through the steps. It says, this is my instructor homepage. To create a class, click the Add Class button. To display a class assignments and papers, click the class's name. So I'm going to click on Graduate Research Paper. And right now I don't have any research papers, and it tells me before you or your students can submit a paper, you first need to create an assignment. So I'm going to add an assignment, and this is going to be called Draft 1. Oops. So let me choose Draft 1. There is no point value associated with it. I'm going to use today's date. I'm going to also, the due date, I'm going to make it today as well. I'm going to make it a little bit later than now, and not a whole lot, but just a little bit later. And then I'm going to do the post date just a little bit later than the due date. Let me put that on today as well, 2 and 34. And I also need to make sure they're all PM. Now, the start date, due date, and post date, there's a little difference. The start date's kind of self-explanatory. That's when the assignment starts. Due date's when the assignment ends. The post date is when you will have your comments out there. The student cannot see the grammar comments that are automatically generated by the system until after the post date. Now, I'm going to click on the optional settings, and I'll put in a little bit of information for the student to guide them. So I'm telling the student that this is a plagiarism and grammar checking instrument, that the results for plagiarism should be available within 15 minutes after they submit their file, but the grammar checking results will not be available until after the post date. Now, there may be a little bit of a way around this. You can send the information to the student, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later, but your best instance for handling this is to tell them that the results will not be available until after the post date. Now, I want to allow submissions after the due date. You can select no if you want to. I do want the student to see the originality or the plagiarism report. That's one of the reasons for using this tool. Generate originality reports for student submissions. I want them to be available immediately, and I want the student to be able to see the results and submit the file again if they want to multiple times. Now, since this is a draft tool, you can choose one of the other options, but I'm going to choose that they can submit it and then see the results of the plagiarism and then resubmit it, see the results until the due date. I'm going to include the bibliographic materials as well as quoted materials so the student can see how much is actually coming from another source or similar to another source. And I also want to do the same thing with quoted materials and small matches. I'm going to just allow those to be included. You may want to change those options once you see some of the results of the papers coming through. Allow students to see originality report. Yes, I do. And I'm going to go ahead and let this be submitted to a repository so that it can be, this paper can be checked against future papers. Now, I'm not going to use a rubric to grade this. This is essentially just for grammar and plagiarism, so I'm not going to do additional grading at this point. But I do want the grammar checker to be invoked, so I have yes, use the grammar checker. The handbook I'm going to use is the high school handbook. The advanced handbook is a little bit too picky, I think. You can try it out and see for yourself, but I think high school is a little bit better. U.S. English Dictionary is the option I'll choose, as well as leaving these defaults selected. Once you have your settings created, you can click on the would you like to save these options and then click on submit, and that will save those options for future assignments. Now my times are a little bit close, so it didn't really take those the first time, so I'm going to go back in and try to correct those again. I think if they'd been maybe a day apart, it wouldn't have stopped it on me. I need to also make sure that I think I've talked a little bit too much, so I've lost a little bit in terms of time here. So 2:30, and I'm going to say about 2:35, and then about 2:37. So, and I need to make sure they're all PM too. So there we go, and I've already done my optional settings, and I'm going to click on submit. Now, last thing I need to do is add a student to my class, so I'm going to click on the Students tab up at the top, and I'm going to add a student. It says there's currently no students enrolled in my class. You can have the student enroll themselves, or you can add them yourself, so I'm going to add student and go to this add student screen and type in the first name, last name, and the email address of that student. I'm going to use my Hotmail account, and I will submit. Now, I can add a paper for a student myself, or I can let the student add the paper. Now, I'm going to go back to assignments, and if I want to add the paper for the student, I can go, here's my draft 1 assignment, and I'm going to go to more actions. You can see that you can delete the assignment if you don't want, or you could submit a paper or change maybe things like the time and date. It'll take us back to this screen. So I'm going to submit the paper for the student. You might want to do this with graduate papers. You can have the students submit it themselves if you want to, but it seems with the grammar checker you have to look at the document first before the student can actually see the grammar comments. Even if you don't make any changes, the instructor appears to need to look at the paper first. So single file upload, or you can cut and paste if you want to. I'm going to do choose my student, and I'm going to put in the draft title, draft 1. I'm going to choose my file. Let me find my file. I'm going to do, let me find something that maybe is, so I've submitted these multiple times to this to just test things out, so I may get quite a bit of plagiarism here. I'm going to upload my file, and once I've uploaded my file, it's going to take me to a little screen where I can verify that this is the content I want to add. Yes, it is, so I'll click on submit. There may be some plagiarism here because it's an instructional document. Up at the top, it tells me that my document was successfully submitted, and there's my digital receipt. So I have submitted this paper for my student, and I can submit another paper if I want to. I'm going to go to the inbox and see what I have now. It's currently trying to check the similarity with other documents, so the little bar will show me in a little bit once the similarity and the plagiarism has been checked. I'm going to just pause it for a minute, and we'll come back and look at the result. Now when we take a look at the document, it says there's 4% similarity, and I'm going to click on Draft 1, the title of the document, to see what it looks like. And I'm going to close this this grade mark screen, and let me adjust my screen just a little bit so you can see things. So let me first go up to the top and click on Originality, and you can see the Originality report. It's indicated by highlighting where there are plagiarized items, and I can see this support has this URL in their document. This item right there, which is also another URL, comes from this cheap WeNet, and then here's another line about Windows Media Player. So there's a little bit of plagiarism, but it's just URLs, so it wouldn't be anything I'd be concerned about. And so as you read the documents, you're going to have to make some decisions for yourself about, okay, is this really plagiarized content, or is this the only way you can say these things? Now I'm going to go up to the top and look at GradeMark as well. So let me click on GradeMark. And what the GradeMark screen allows me to do is to see where grammar items has been found. Now the items here in purple indicate items that the machine found, but I could read through it and I can drag these composition concerns over and make comments as well. So if I want to put this fragment on here and then write a little note about what the fragment is, this sentence looks like a fragment, reword, and then actually I have fragments here too, don't I? So I'm going to just put in a comma and reword. So let me go ahead and save that. So you wouldn't even need to do that. You could just look at your document, see the purple settings. You can also save this as a PDF file. So I'm going to click on the print, download PDF, and save it. Download the PDF of the current view for printing. And if you wanted to email it to your student or keep this as a record, you could do that as well. So I'm going to keep this document, and let me pull it up so you can see what it looks like as well. And let me adjust the screen so you can see it better. And I'm going to scroll up. And let me close this. So you can see the marks where it was indicated that there were some grammar issues. And I can mail this to the student. I'm going to close this. I'm also going to close this in a minute. Let me mention PeerMark. PeerMark, if you want other students to read the papers and make comments on it, you can specify it's a PeerMark document at the beginning if you want to. I'm going to close out of this screen, so let me go down to the little close button and close out, and we will take a look at what the student view looks like. But before we do that, let me mention the PeerMark. I'm going to go back to the home screen and go into graduate research papers, so you can follow the breadcrumbs to move around your document, or you can click on these tabs up at the top. I can click on the Add Assignment button, and this is where PeerMark comes in. So once you have created an original assignment, then you can add some sub-assignments, such as letting other students read the assignment, or having revisions of the document, or having them make their own comments about that document. I'm not going to do that for this. For graduate papers, I pretty much just create standard assignments. So I'm going to go back to the home button, and then when I wanted them to maybe submit an assignment later on, I could go into graduate research papers and create an assignment called Draft 2. It would be a paper assignment. Next step. This takes us to the screen that we saw earlier as we created an assignment, and I could create one called Draft 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and log out and then log in as a student so you can see what the results that a student would see are. I'm going to take a look at this from the student's perspective, so let me log in my student account. So let me type in my password and I'll sign in. And once I'm into my account, I'll go down to the active account, which is graduate research papers, and I only have one paper listed there. I see the 4% originality issue. I'll go into the view results screen so that I can see it, and it is trying to pull up the grammar check. I'm going to move my screen around a little bit so you can see these things. The purple area, or the purple items, are the things that were found by the computer, and the blue item was the item that the instructor typed in. And the instructor can put text comments in that will appear over here on the right-hand side, but I didn't type any text comments into the paper. If I want to see the originality report, I can click on the originality and see the same kinds of things as we saw in the instructor version. So you wouldn't have to send the file to the student as a PDF. They can see essentially the same results as you saw. I'm going to close out of this window, and that gives you an idea of what the student sees and what the instructor sees. And let me go ahead and log out. You might have the student then submit the document over and over, or you could have the student email you the document and you can submit it again. And you do have to look at the grammar checker, the ETS grammar grader, in order for those results to be displayed for the student to see. And you also want to make sure you check that post date so that they are seeing the results after the post date. You can see it says the post date's the date and time you can begin viewing the feedback for your paper, so that post date is important from the student's perspective. I'm going to go ahead and log out. If you want the student to see the results before the post date, then you'll have to send them that PDF file. They can see the originality report, but most likely not the grammar checker.